Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast, a hybrid structure encompassing health, fitness, self-improvement, and entertainment, where no topic is off limits and all opinions are graciously welcomed.
Let's get on with the show!
And now, here's the host of the show, Mike Sinopoli.
Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast. I am Mike Sinopoli, certified nutrition coach, consultant, counselor. Call me whatever you would like. On this episode, I have brought in a guest because we're going to be talking about becoming a personal trainer. Whatever age you're at, whether you're in high school or 40 years old or wherever you are in life, there's always time to become something like a personal trainer to help people out. This gentleman, he is a certified personal trainer himself, a strength and conditioning specialist, an exercise physiologist, nutrition coach, author, owner of Results Performance Training with 2 decades of experience in health and fitness. Comes along with a bachelor in science and kinesiology, a very decorated individual, and his name is Detric Smith. Detric, how are you doing today, my man?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be on here.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Of course, man. It's great to talk to somebody like you who has been in the industry forever, puts out amazing content on social media. For those of you wondering, I connected with Detric through social media, through Instagram. What drew me to him mostly was his honest opinions, his knowledge for everything, just real information. So I'll be giving out his info at the end of the show, as well as in the show notes. So we'll just get started to get to know Detric a little bit. So what I want to ask you first, and what I ask most people when I meet them and start talking, is where did your initial interest and purpose come from when it came to health and fitness?
How I got into health and fitness. I always tell the story of when I was in high school. I got cut from a baseball team. Coach said I was too weak. And I remember just getting kind of obsessed over that and going out and reading every book to see what I could do to get stronger to make the baseball team. And I ended up just enjoying that process and lifting weights and working out. And I enjoyed that more than actually playing the sport. So that's kind of where my interest kind of initially kind of hit there. But I've just always been passionate about exercise and fitness there.
That's pretty cool, man. Kind of reminds me of the story of our buddy Michael Jordan, who got cut from his high school team.
Yeah.
And worked his ass off a little bit more and got it going. So it's great that you could do something like that. That's the great sign of like resilience, I think, and that's another sign of great respect that I have for you, to go ahead and you know, you didn't sulk and go down and let it get to you that you didn't make that team. You went ahead and did this, and I would assume that's just the approach you would take up with your clients, I'm sure too, you know, to kind of push them. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So to talk about, you know, where you're at, and we'll get more into your business and where you're at, but to any advice for somebody starting up who's maybe thinking about becoming a personal trainer, you know, has been toying with the idea, where is a good place to begin if they're just sort of like, well, I want to do this, but what do I do now?
I'd say, it's not the job to do, just for the money. Of course, I help trainers make more money in the industry because you have to make money in order to stay in the industry, but you have to be passionate about it. You're dealing with people's bodies, and I say that's a very, very big deal. There's a lot of professions that deal with the body, and probably ours, we have less, I don't say less qualifications or less time to get into it, where we can get a certification. We don't necessarily need to have a 4-year degree, whereas a lot of organizations, a lot of other professions have to have that plus some. So, take it seriously. You're dealing with people's bodies, you're dealing with people's lives. You have the ability to change lives. And always tell people you need to be patient, not just with your clients, but also with yourself, because it's going to take time to become great at your craft as a trainer. And I always tell people it's more than just being able to write a great program, look good and know how to exercise. It's going to be, you're going to have people skills, emotional intelligence, and just being able to connect with people and be very passionate about it, because you got to put a lot of work in.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I think, how it begins. I think that passion, that purpose, it has to be the leading factor for it. And then once you have that established, you go on and you figure out how to market yourself and move along from there. So you did say, probably the best starting point would be to get some sort of a certification. It's almost necessary to have as far as working as a personal trainer. Do you have any specific recommendations of where you would say the best place or a good spot to start is for certification? And do you, when you hire anybody on to work with you, you require certification for them?
Yes, we hire certification. We do have some assistant coach positions where they can get hired while they're in the process of getting certified. There's quite a few for trainers. I have ACSM and NSCA, but I usually recommend either one of those two, NASM, ACE, ISSA also will get your positions too, but you can't go wrong with like NASM, ACE. I kind of look at if the person has a degree or not, what they've done in the past in regards to studying exercise science, what their long-term goals are, and the type of person that they want to work with there. So like I had this CSCS because I worked with athletes a lot when I first started up. I still work with some, but it's not a major portion of our business now. And ACSM, exercise physiology, and sometimes colleges will require you to take certain tests. But I always recommend trainers survey the places in their area that are hiring too, to see what they say and places they could see themselves working at, see what their requirements are, look at job, look online to see what jobs are requiring, and just, get a dependable dependable certification that will carry over to different places. And I also recommend too, specialty certifications can be great down the line, but just kind of watch that too, because sometimes people will get a million specialty certs and they might not necessarily help them get a job as much as they think it's going to help them get a job.
Right. You can get all the academic achievements finished, and it goes for any industry, I believe. You can finish all kinds of academic things, but it really comes down to what you said before: the experience, the passion, the will to want to learn about it. So I do think that piece of paper shows some good credibility, and there is some stuff to learn through that, as I'm going through the NASM version myself right now. So I totally agree with that. And when you see when you see somebody starting up, what do you notice, and maybe what you went through, as some initial struggles as a personal trainer? Like, what do you feel as if, say they do have that passion, say they do have they get that certification, what do you see as the top struggle starting out, you think, for someone, that's something they can prepare themselves for and maybe work through and not be so blindsided by it when they start taking on something in the industry?
Some of the initial struggles, I mean, financially at first it can be a challenge because it's going to be hard to sometimes get a position, based on where you're coming from and how much money you have. It can be hard to just jump out and get a position where you have a full book of clients there. I know with me, I had to work at multiple places. I had like the internship, and then I had, this is, after the college degree and certifications too. So I had the internship, I had the job at a small studio, I had the job at a big gym, and I was working between all those different places there at first to try to get all those hours, to get enough hours to live, basically, when it comes to making money there. So there, you could have that financial, and then for me, I had to kind of a little bit about my background going into that. So I got out, I worked at those different places. I had the internship, and then I ended up getting my first full-time job in training, which was great. Had a lot of fun with that at a sports performance center. Still wasn't as much as I would have liked, so I ended up somewhat switching careers in regards to teaching, because I was still able to coach like strength conditioning at a school, taught middle school, elementary school while I coached high school. And I was still able to get my reps in coaching, training, and doing those things before and after school. And then eventually I was starting up my own business on the side, working before school, working after school. And then when I saw the numbers kind of line up and say, okay, I'm making more money doing this or just as much, now that's when I kind of made that jump, so to speak, there. So, financially there, I would say finding mentors, and I don't want to say it could be a struggle, but you have to get in the mindset that people are willing to help you if you just ask there. So I wouldn't say that's a struggle, but you need to get that mindset that you're going to have to ask for help. And yeah, it could just, change your life as far as the mentors I've had, and also the mentorship programs I've invested in, for everything from communication, writing, business skills, a lot of things they're not going to teach you, even with a college degree and the certification. So I would say that, and I would say those are the initial two there. Just you have to have patience, because those first few years can, first few years can be a challenge.
Sure. I could see that. And absolutely. And what you said, I think there's something really important you said in there, which I loved, is like, don't be afraid to ask for help. A lot of times people think asking for help can be looked at as a weakness. And I've realized over the years myself that asking for help is actually a huge strength. And that's something that people, they feel like, oh, if I ask for help, I'm going to look like I don't know something. But you know what? If you have to ask for help, you probably don't know something, and you have to be honest with yourself. And that's how you learn. And I'll use a quick story of my own self playing guitar. I bought one 24 years ago, and I just tried myself. I went and said, I can do this by myself. I took a lesson not 5-6 months ago, and this teacher taught me a few mechanics with my hands that I was doing incorrectly. And just like that, I was able to do more. And I waited 24 years to do that. What a mistake on my end. I could have been a way better guitar player than I am right now. Not saying I'm even that great, but just using it as an example to play off what you said, which is brilliant and exactly it. Ask for help. You don't know everything. You will never know everything. You know that you'll never know everything because you don't, and it's okay. And if anyone shames you for asking for help, they have a problem with themselves.
Oh yeah.
That's what I would say. So to build upon sort of what you said, you did write an article a few years ago on breakingmuscle.com. And you mind if I share those bullet points you put out there? Because I thought it was.
That'd be great. We'll talk over that.
Okay, great. So what Detric put together here was 5 mistakes for new trainers to avoid. And I thought it was really, really well bullet pointed and put together. And the first one, we'll just kind of go through them real quick and you can comment on it and I'll respond. So the first one is not giving away freebies. And it says, why would you give away free stuff? This is training. I need to get paid. Why would I give away things for free? This is my career. So, for me, I think I get it. I understand it because that's other people are giving things out for free, right? So you want to jump in with that and give those consults out. So what do you say? What is your main objective of putting this one out there as number one of not giving away some free stuff?
Yeah, there's a lot of trainers that say, you should never give away anything free. And sometimes these people gave away a lot of stuff for free in order to get their names in front of people to get to that point, to not have to give out anything for free. But content, and you have to draw a line somewhere, I guess. And it varies on where you're at in your career, whether your first year training, if you've been in it for decades there, what you can, what you have the time for while you're developing your career. I always think you should be giving out some form of free content, whether it's on your blog, whether it's on social media, all those different things, so that you can build trust, with your community there. So free content. As far as once we get into free training sessions and different stuff like that, just with our business, I'll give our business as an example. We have 3 different services: one-on-one, semi-private, and group. Group, I typically will give them a free trial session to try it out. I don't do that necessarily for one-on-one and semi-private training, but we do always have like a free consult just to kind of see if we're a good fit for that individual and see if we can kind of respect each other's time long-term there too, make sure everything's on the same page, make sure you know what's going on with the client before you work with them, of course. So there's that. But yeah, I would say free content. Yep. Always have that going. And I think I covered everything with that one, hopefully. Yeah,
no, that sounds about right. I'd say the same thing, you got to give away just enough to have them build the trust, understand what they're doing. For me, I do a free phone call, a consultation type phone call, just because, I want clarity. It's clarity, discovery, and understanding. And people feel so much better after they talk to me about understanding where things are going to be headed and how it applies to them. So I think that's huge. And then same thing with content and things like that. I think it's a great thing to give that away, social media, and just let that stuff out there. It draws people in. And like you said, you want to get to a point to where you're good enough, established enough to where you don't have to give away much free stuff, but you got to pay your dues. So number 2 on your list here is don't narrow your focus too early. So do you mean by that just not getting too specific with a certain type of training, or what's your thoughts behind that one?
Yeah, I would say, going back to when I first started as a trainer, I was like, I want to just work with athletes. That was kind of the goal. And I ended up working with a lot of different people during those first few years. And I realized, I really like working with those people, but also it helped me out 20 years down the line where I'm at, over 20 years down the line now, where I really probably prefer to work with people that are over 50. They have an injury or two. They don't fit in at a big box gym, or people that are closer to my age now is what a lot of college and younger people getting into the industry, they probably want to work with people, be around people that they can have a conversation with a little bit easier. And that's kind of where that might get at too, if that makes sense. And now that I'm, over 40, it's, things have changed. And also, by that, having that base of being able to work with a lot of different people when I first started my career and throughout my career, it has allowed my business to adapt also. I kind of gave the example of, we talked beforehand about how my business has changed so much over the past 12 years based on competition in the area and what we feel are our strengths, or what other people, our customers and clients, have told us what our strengths are. So just being able to have that wide base of skills to draw from there is going to really help. And like a lot of times when we're training, like people that train athletes, they'll tell them, play different sports. Don't just isolate yourself and focus on one thing from the time you're like in elementary or early middle school, right? So it kind of goes back to that same thing. You're trying to develop a wide variety of skills that are going to carry on throughout your career.
Right. And it seems like that's kind of the way things go for a lot of athletes too. But a lot of athletes you read about, they wanted to be a baseball player forever, but all of a sudden football just became what it was, or however else it was. And I also think too that if anybody wants to get too specific, like you said, only training athletes, you really limit your client base there, because there's a lot of everyone on the planet there's a potential client, in my opinion, because
yes.
everybody at some point, whether they don't want to right now or not, they are going to want to improve themselves at some point potentially. So everyone is a potential client. Like I happen to work with as a nutrition guy. My main client is a female, probably aged 35 to 50. Typically after pregnancies are done, they want their body back. They say, that's kind of where it is. So you know what? Hey, so what I learn about that sort of stuff, I'm not going to say, well, I'm not a woman, I'm not going to train. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I will work with whoever I can. And if I legitimately can't help them, I'll tell them that. But I think that's genius, is to never go ahead and just limit yourself so much when you're starting out. You can specialize later, which brings me into your third point. Don't specialize until you gain experience. So I feel like this one sort of plays off of number 2 a little bit, to get the experience and then go ahead and then figure out where you want to go. Is that sort of what you mean by this one?
Yep. So yeah, those bullet points are, very similar as far as not specializing until you kind of gain experience. So you want to get those reps in with multiple different clients. And then what we find too is a lot of times those people will tell you what you're good at, even though you think you're good at something. You might go into like, okay, well, all these clients are coming to me from that are staying with me and coming to me from these different places, whatever. And they're telling you kind of what you're good at too. So, and you have to, of course, you want to enjoy it, what you're doing, but yeah, that experience, getting those reps in, is going to really kind of pay off.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, not specializing, you might find a new niche by just, doing enough, trying a little bit of everything. And you never knew you were going to excel somewhere. And then suddenly, hey, you did, because you gave something a shot. So totally get that one. And then number 4 here, I love it. Don't miss opportunities to network. I think this one sort of goes more to the business side of things that people maybe don't think they need to do when they're personal training, is network and work with other facilities, other people, go to events and things like that. Is that sort of where you're headed with that one?
Yeah, I think I was heading that way, but I think we can spin this in so many different ways, because networking is important in so many different ways. So if you're a trainer, we could say, get out to conferences too, meet different people. If you're on social media, connect with different people there, so that you can learn. That might end up being your mentor that you could, connect with just because you friended them or connected with them on Instagram, Facebook, and all of that type of stuff too. So there's that angle. I talk about the conferences that I've been to have paid off big time in regards to when I get a chance to write for different places. It's usually people that I met in person at some point. So there's that standpoint. And then from a business standpoint, definitely for sure, you want to be able to get out in the community. You want to be able to network. Build that network is going to be, it's going to be huge. We get out, do things with nonprofits. We get out, we kind of survey our members. We survey our members to see what organizations they belong to. So that will help you. So with your marketing to start to narrow that down. But yeah, always just networking. I have an article that'll probably come out in the next week or two on my blog about this, talking about networking and creating a system around networking, because a lot of trainers will say, yeah, they network, they know people and all that good stuff, but they've never taken the time to actually write it down in a Excel spreadsheet or whatever you want to use there, to kind of have a system around it. Like every week I'm going to meet these new people, and you have categories like friends, family, nonprofits, and different things. But a lot of times people will say, oh, this person's not going to pay me for my services. It's not but that person, you can help them in some way. And that person knows someone that, you can help. And more than likely, it's going to come back to you. It might be years from now there. So, or I'll also give the example of how many people I've just been at coffee houses sometime and getting work done, just being able to say hi to people there. It pays off.
Absolutely. You never know. It takes that one person, that one connection that can just explode everything, sort of. So
Yes.
I think no networking is a waste of time. Like, it's always worth it to meet anybody and everybody that you could talk to. I totally hear you on that one, my man. That's excellent. And then your fifth one here to move along is not getting client referrals. And I think that's a huge way to build business. I think asking for referrals, if you know anybody or however that is, what's your take on referrals and how do you go about that?
Yeah, that's probably, just probably a little more straightforward, I guess, but I'll kind of talk over it as far as you have to have systems for it. So that's kind of what I help out from a business coaching standpoint there too, is, having systems for tracking members, having a system for ways to have like bring a friend weeks in, bring a friend passes, following up with these people to see, sometimes they'll tell you, oh, I'm going to bring so-and-so friend next week, and they don't. And then that's the end of it for some trainers. But being able to follow up, I'm big on email marketing, getting people on your newsletters and different things there too, so that you can follow up with people over time, and just being, worthy of referrals by delivering good service there also. But yep, referrals are huge. Absolutely.
Massive. I actually tie your number 1 and 5 together a little bit for what I do. I tell my current clients that, hey, if you have somebody that's interested and you bring them over to me, refer them over to me, and they sign up with me, I'm going to shoot you over another free week of coaching. So that's what I like to do. I like to combine those two a little bit, and then that really just helps your clients act as like sales reps for you in a weird way. Hey, they're going to get a little something out of it, little extra, and then it all comes back to having good service, like you just said. So I think that is a very good. I'm going to share this on my social media as well. This article, a link to that along with everything else, because I do think it's a good thing to read. So going into the rest of it here a little bit, just sales and marketing is a big part of this. I think that a lot of kind of like what you said about the networking thing, that trainers miss the whole importance of networking. I think sometimes trainers might not realize sales and marketing is a big part of this whole thing and selling yourself, correct?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to be able to sell to have a career in fitness. So, that's why I work with trainers to develop those sales and marketing skills there. And I also just work with trainers to see where you're always selling to a certain extent. And I always tell trainers that the product is you, so you have to develop yourself. So we, see where trainers are at in that phase of development, where we have to develop your product. Of course, you have all the basic skills, how to write programs on, how to queue, your people skills, those different things there that are very, very important. And then we go into, very specific, like business type skills, finding your ideal client, creating a product based around their needs, sales skills, consultations, follow up, and just for marketing, especially low cost marketing for startups and trainers that might not have the money, things such as we talked about referrals, how to get social proof, building your website in a way that's cost friendly for you, that kind of goes along with your development, social media content, email marketing, and newsletters there. So yep. So we kind of, dive into the sales and marketing, and also I'll go back into the mindset of sales too. So a lot of trainers get into it and they think, I'm a good enough trainer, I have my certification, I have my degree, I don't need to learn all these sales skills. So-and-so should be just training with me. And then they get angry when so-and-so influencer, trainer, whatever is taking their clients. It doesn't really know anything at all. But they probably have a little something you could learn from too. They might not be the training aspect of it, but there's something that they're doing to connect, to understand that person's why there. So so not thinking of sales as this sleazy thing and thinking of it as a skill that you have to develop would be the main thing there when it comes to sales and marketing.
Right. And I think that also ties into what you were speaking about initially, is having the mindset of purpose. I feel like if somebody has the purpose mindset of this thing and not just money, which I know it's important, but like selling comes natural if you believe in it. If you believe in yourself and you believe in what you're doing, the selling part isn't that hard. If you were to work a job where you didn't really care about the product and you were just going through the motions, selling is hard then. I have been there, man. I have been in the corporate world and selling some stuff, man. I tell you, just trying to make ends meet and put food on the table, whatever they would say, just making money. That's it. But when you have something you find that passion for, the sales side of it will become like nothing to you in some cases. You'll want to sell yourself, like you said. And I think that's where you'll really know too, if this is for you, if you're finding this to be something that's hard and arduous and you don't want to sell, then you might want to look into a career change. It's something that will bring you. Yeah. So, and that leads me over to other side of your business here that you're doing. Personally interested in myself too, is that you do some individualized business coaching for personal trainers and studio owners. So do you want to just give us a little background on what that is that you offer for people who may already be established and looking to grow?
Yeah. So, first, I like to meet trainers where they're at. So I kind of got sick of seeing a lot of these business coaches just really taking advantage of new trainers, and some of them you get on you might get on YouTube and see so-and-so's trying to say they don't even have to be certified, and they how they can write an individualized program without even barely knowing the person. So I just want to meet trainers where they're at. So I have two different sides of it, where it's certified now what program, and more so of the business very specific skills. So because if you go all the way into all these different great business skills, but you don't have a great product, going back to the product is you that we talked about before, you're going to get these people, but they're going to be in for a few weeks and they're going to be out. You're not going to be able to retain them. So I look at from that standpoint, do you know how to, build a program? Do you know how to do those things? Make sure you're good with those solid aspects of things there. And also, just having somebody like myself as a business coach to hold them accountable to giving really honest feedback as to do things line up, like the type of client that you want to train, and do they see you that way there? And once we get into the more specific business type things, we go over as far as the goal setting, business plans. It might be the basics of the type of license you'll need, finding locations and different things like that, from time management, organization, product development, and services. We talk about basics, sales training, marketing related training, the common questions that you have. It could be how to price your services, how to track different things, when you're ready to hire people, and the type of person that you need to hire first, getting your mission, your purpose straight, finding your ideal client, competition research. We talked about kind of having good systems and how we use like our admin team there. Once you start getting booked as a trainer, and you start to lack the time, then you're able to, you have to have those systems to create more of that time to be able to get more money, and also to have a life outside of training so you can maintain this long term, because a lot of trainers, they want to get booked, and that's great. There you have to get booked, but then you get to the point where it's like, man, I'm just training all day. I don't have a chance for a break. So to be able to make money when you're not just directly training people there, hiring, staff development, customer service and retention. So those are a lot of the topics that I'll kind of touch on there with business coaching.
That's pretty cool. So you kind of help them out too with that work-life balance so they don't overwhelm themselves and end up resenting what they love. So I like that.
Mhm.
That's great. And then I did have another question to follow that up for you. Typically, how long, if somebody was to sign up for your business training side of things, how long do you usually work with somebody? Is there an average amount of time you think that you're spending with somebody that would come to you, take on one of your programs and go from there? Is it a set amount? I know it's a monthly thing that you have.
Yeah, everybody's a little bit different. I mean, if somebody's relatively new to the whole thing, I would at least want them to, we kind of get on a phone call, see where we're kind of heading, at least, like a 3 or 4 month thing. But we have people that just need a 1 month check in. We go over, you get all the calls that go along with that, all the accountability, and they might have a specific thing that they're trying to dial in on. It might be, pricing, sales and marketing, building out their website. It might just be their staff, hiring, creating manuals, different things, that marketing plans that work for them. A lot of coaches will have marketing plans, but they don't realize they might not take into consideration your budget, sadly, your budget, your time, and where you're at. So everybody's so different. And that's another thing too, is and a lot of times people might not be able to afford to lock in, to be able to say, I'm going to sign up for this year, this high pressure thing that a lot of coaches will do to you, and they'll get you. I mean, you'll see their sales techniques on when they're trying to sell you, and hopefully that'll tell you that's someone you would want to be around there. So yeah, that you, I'm talking a lot. I don't know if I'm going all over the place.
You're good.
So
you're good. Keep
usually
going.
it's individualized to their needs and their budget there too, because I understand how it can be for trainers just getting started up. And it was hard for me to invest in mentoring. When I first started, I wasn't making a lot of money, but it really paid for itself, because there was no way I could have made it without I've had quite a few mentors, and most have been good, some have been better than others there, but I've had quite a few mentors that have just, man, they've changed the game for me in regards to making me even just goal setting too. I remember when I was a teacher, and I was making a certain amount of money, and it wasn't a lot as a teacher, but I was making a certain amount of money, and I was like, yeah, I just want to go have my business. And back then it was more like, if I could just make enough money teaching, I can leave that and whatever. And then someone was like, no, you got to think way bigger than that. I didn't even have, when they asked me the questions, I didn't even have an answer to really how much I really wanted to make and all these different basic things, but they stayed on top of me and they helped me accountable. And just like with trainers and coaches, there's that accountability piece is just so huge to have somebody. And sometimes even now I'll have coaches that'll help me out with different things. And, really, it's the account is almost, you want their knowledge, but the accountability is priceless. Because when someone says, and you're paying your money for it too, when someone says between now and 4 weeks from now, this is what we're going to have done, is something magic about it actually happening.
Oh, absolutely. Then what you nailed it right on the head there. That accountability thing is so underrated in some fashion, and some people don't even realize that the accountability is what has kept them going in some fashion. Obviously, our goal as coaches are to help people not always need the accountability. You kind of have that business side, or the business side, or you have the training passion side. Like, yeah, you know what? I want to keep these people going with me, but I also want to help them go on their own so they don't depend on me and create the dependency. It's kind of that, hey, maybe a businessman here or not. So anyways, I totally hear what you're saying and love every minute of it. But I did want to ask you one last bullet here before we close it down. What do you consider, and this is a good thing for aspiring trainers and anyone looking to take on a trainer for themselves to help themselves out, characteristics of a great trainer? Like, what are some things that people can look for in a trainer or look to become to be a trainer? What do you think some of the best things that we can try to aspire to be?
Characteristics of a great trainer. First, I say this a lot. I make sure that the trainers that we hire are never going to beat themselves, meaning they are going to be professional. They're going to be dependable. They have a passion for exercise. They do it themselves, obviously. They have good personality, good people skills. So, in me trying, hiring great trainers, I always say we make mistakes, and sometimes we look solely on this person knows this amount. They have this degree, a certification, and they might not fit they might not fit our culture, and two, they might not have those things I talked about before, being professional, dependable, good personality and people skills. They have to be patient, passionate, and they have to have a strong work ethic, because your skills are going to develop over time. And they have to be in it for the right reason. So they're, like I said, very passionate about it. And, they have love for the game. They're going to be able to stick with it long term and put the work in.
Right. Absolutely. Totally agree with you. I think that's what you need to have. If you think you're going for this thing, if you're in it just for money, it's probably not the best route to go. If you're in it for the passion, you love to do it, I think that's the best way to go. And I think people are going to naturally pick up on that you're in this for the pay. Oh, this guy actually cares, or this girl actually cares. So I think that's fantastic. And that's just the way that it has to be. And I think this is such a great, profession, really. Like, as I've gotten older and everything like that, I've kind of realized how important this sort of thing is and how much it benefits us. And it's just so much more than vanity and looks, is that we all start out with a little bit. And, we just kind of grow and evolve, and it becomes more. I have a client right now who I'm working with. She started out with looks, and then she went to strength, and she wanted to get stronger. Now she wants to eat better and eat well and eat healthier. Now she's having her family's doing better with it. And it all started with that, with the accountability, the knowledge, and all that. So, man, that is some good stuff, Detric. So I think we're good. I think we got a good idea of everything. Before I give out your contact info and close things up, do you have anything else you'd like to say to anyone that might be listening, or anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's pretty much it. That's just that passion, that love for the game. I just kind of emphasize that. Never giving up. You kind of know, I told you a little bit about my story, how I started off. And I think we all think that once you get the degree, the certification is just like, boom, I'm here. Yeah, all these clients are going to show up. It doesn't work out that way. So having patience, having love for the game, and, like I said, don't be afraid to ask for help. Build your team around you. From the people you help to your mentors to everybody there around you, to make sure it's a positive team.
Awesome. Excellent. Perfect. And one of the best things, one thing that actually drew me into Detric to talk to him too, is that, he's just so honest on his social media, on Instagram. One post he put up is admitting that, he's made mistakes in the past. I also have made mistakes in the past. And when you get somebody that can admit the fact that they've made these mistakes, you're going to get an honest, true person that you're going to be working with. Nobody knows it all. If they claim they do, they're not gonna probably be a good fit. I can tell you that straight up. So if you did want to follow Detric, he's on Instagram at Detric, Detric _Smith, or at Results Performance Training. He has a website, detricsmith.com, and an email for him is info@resultsperformancetraining.com. So if you wanted to get in touch with him, those are some good ways to do so. If you're listening either wherever you get your podcasts, I will have this in the show notes as well. You can also directly message me on social media. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook at MFS Wellness. I'm also a fan of old school email, mike@mfswellness.com. So I want to thank Detric for being here. Appreciate his time. Great guy, great information here for anyone aspiring to become a personal trainer or take one on even. So to close things up, thanks again, Detric. And for everybody else listening, we will see you on the next episode.